Greetings, Earth enthusiasts. If you ever wondered about the incredible perspectives our planet has to offer from high above, you're in the right place. I am Dr. Clive Coetzee, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this captivating journey into the world of remote sensing. Welcome. And please remember to like, subscribe to, and share this video. Thank you.
In our previous video, we started with the Terra Snow data product. And I said that was because somebody asked me to the end of last year if we can play around with that specific data product and see what we can learn from it. So that's what we're busy with. That's our journey. And as I said, that's in tutorial 65. We started with that and we created a region of interest where I know, for example, it snows, and we played around with it. Okay, so we're going to continue with where we left off in that specific tutorial, in the sense that I want to also look at snow in terms of height. What's the typical height where it snows in my region of interest? Okay, so I want to combine now more data products or data sets with my primary data sets, which is the Terra Snow data set, to determine, to answer a number of questions. Okay, so we go to our Trusty Good Earth Engine website. There it is. Okay, so once there, we go to platform. From platform, we go to our code editor. So remember, we saved our previous script in a project, and so we want to continue working on that specific script. So I go to my scripts, there it sits, and I'm looking for my project. So I scroll down, I saved it as snow, TUT1, if you can remember correctly. So I scroll down alphabetically until I get to my project. There it sits, snow TUT1. Okay, so I double click, left click on it, and it should now open in my script editor. Okay, and as I always say, before I do anything else, I run the script. Okay, so I run the script. It will center around my region of interest, and it will display whatever we have created up to now. And in this case, it's displaying the layer which is snow cover, and the snow cover layer is from this particular data set, the modus 061, etc. It's filtered for this particular period. Now, as I said, we're dealing with a winter rainfall period, so therefore, if it were to snow in this region of interest, it will snow June, July, August, because that's typically when it's the coldest, etc. So, and we're going to play around with that to see a typical what temperatures it starts snowing, etc., etc. Okay, so that's it. We clip it for our region of interest. Now, in the previous video tutorial, this one here, I showed you how I created my region of interest. In fact, we had an original region of interest, and we then deleted that region of interest, and we've created this new one. So if I put it on the map, we've created this region of interest so that it overlays this particular mountain range. Okay, but we also expanded it to include lower areas, because what we want to do is to see typically what heights it starts snowing. Okay, so let me take that and look at the normal map. So there's my mountain range. So I then generated my region of interest around this mountain range. And as I said, we then select our band here. Now, if we go into this data set itself, or data product, remember, if I want to do this, I copy that unique identifier. I go to my Earth Engine platform. I go to data sets. And within data sets, I go to search. I right click and I paste that unique identifier and I press enter. It will give me a list of products. Normally it's the first one, so I select that, left click on it, and there's the data product. It's available from 2000 to 2024, and there's the band that we are typically looking at it. It's got a minimum value of 0 and a maximum of 100%, and that's basically snow cover. Okay, so if we go to the description, it says that contains snow cover, snow albedo, fractional, etc. Snow cover data based on a snow mapping algorithm that employs a normalized difference snow index in the criteria. So that's a description of it. And the band that we're looking at is snow cover, and it's from 0 to 100, and that is snow cover itself. Okay, and as I said, we scroll down, there's some other information that you may find interesting. There is our script or our code to start the process, and that's basically what we've done. Obviously, we've created our region of interest, we've added that region of interest to our map layers, we centered our region of interest, we've created our clipping tool, etc. So there it sits. Okay, so in this case, remember there's our color scheme. In this case, black color or this particular color will be no snow, meaning i.e. close to 0, and this color, which is white, will be close to lots of snow. So it's from black to light blue to dark blue to white, which is in this case. So this particular white area is here. If I open it here, let's just rearrange it a little bit here. You see this white areas here, this will typically be areas of snow cover. And if we overlay it with our satellite, and we basically just, as you can see, it will be on this high areas. So zoom in, you can see this is quite a high peak here, and you'll see the snow cover. You'll see the snow. So if I go to my inspector, let's just go to this particular, go to my inspector, click on that particular location there. You'll see that it's got a snow cover value of 80. If you go to this one there, got a snow cover of 309. So that's that particular area here. So, okay, so let's take that out. So that's typically this area here. So that's quite a bit of snow cover. So this obviously is a 2D. It's a 2D image. So you don't actually get a sense of the height of it. You know, at what height does it typically slow? So to do that, what we want to do is we want to now expand on our base. Remember to save if you haven't saved. We want to now basically expand on it. So typically what we can do now, let's close it down. Typically what we can do now is to add additional data products to answer or to elaborate on our snow picture. So for example, I want to look at height. At what height does it typically snow in this mountainous area? Okay, because we don't get a sense from this Google Earth Google image or this satellite image the height. We can see this, and obviously the where it is darker or where the shading side, etc. So what we're going to do is to add another layer to it and see what we can learn from that particular layer. Okay, so let me make my map smaller, let recenter my region of interest, and I said typically your white areas, but remember your white area is also water. Eh? So just be careful that, so for example, this particular area here could be typically, see this, let me just quickly see this white area here. If we do the inspector, we click on that, snow cover, so that potentially could be water and things. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to play around. We're going to look at images, daytime images, to see if we can see the snow. There's a whole lot of things that we can do now. Okay, so let's just make this smaller again. And so the first thing that I want to do is to bring in a height model to look at elevation. Okay, I know there's elevation images or data products within Earth Engine. So I go to its data catalog. Okay, so let's go back here. I go to the data catalog and I go digital elevation model. Okay, digital elevation model. See if it gives us no results. So it wants us to spell it out. Digital elevation. There we go. And there is the NASA SRT digital elevation 30 meters. Okay, so let's have a look at that. There it sits. It's 2000, so it's a little bit old. Let's see if there's something else. But that's typically the one that we're going to use. But let's just have a look and see if there's anything else. There's the Nasdaq. Let's click on that one and see if that's a little. It's the same one. But that shouldn't have changed much because we're not looking at objects on this, like built-up objects and trees. We're looking at natural objects on the surface, so that would be included in this digital elevation model. Okay, so let's click on it. Let's have a look at first the name. There's the date. So it's an image. It's not an image collection. It's one image. Its elevation is meters. Goes from -10 to 6050. Pixel size is 30, so that's quite small. We look at description. It's an international research that obtained digital elevation models, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Anyway, there's my script. So this is what I want to start with. Okay, so let's copy that. And we then add it into our project script. Okay, now the map center, first thing you delete it because we already have a map center. Okay, remember there's a data set, there's a name for the snow, so I can't have data set name again, so I'm gonna call it DEM. Okay, and we're gonna basically, that's the elevation data set, that must become DEM, otherwise it will refer to this data set here and not this one. So the two variables, select elevation and then the slope. So we're gonna have two maps that we're gonna add. So we're gonna add the elevation and we're gonna add the slope elevation, which is that one there, which is this, and then obviously from the elevation, this particular function within Earth Engine generates a slope. So we're going to add both of these two. Let's have a look to see what we're going to do with the minimum maximum numbers, and we're going to call this elevation. Okay, now I haven't added any color palette, color schemes, visualization parameters. We're going to play around with this now. Obviously now what's still missing, I must remember it's a single image, so I don't reduce it, but I need to clip it for my region of interest. So I go to my clipping tool there, I copy this and I paste it next to my image there. So this image will be clipped, and within the image we'll select elevation and slope. We'll select the elevation band, and that will give us the elevation, but using our terrain functions within Earth Engine, we're going to take the elevation and convert the elevation into slope, and we're going to add those two layers. Okay, so let's press run. Remember, save first before I press run. I don't want to run and then there's a problem, so first let's save and let's run. Okay, so it says there I cannot use the clipping function. It doesn't like that clipping function. So I can use the following tool. Okay, I can take it. I can use clip. And what is and it's called region of interest. So let's clip it. Use that particular function. Run it. There we go. Sorted. So if it doesn't work on this clipping function, you basically just use clip.roy. Okay, and if that doesn't work, you use the filter bounce process. Okay, so there it starts loading. Okay, you'll see there's now three. If we go to our layers, there's a slope, there's elevation, and there's the snow. Okay, so now we've added 3 layers to our map. Okay, so elevation. Let's have a look and see what elevation. Let's go to bands. Our elevation is meters. And slope would be degrees. Okay, so we can see how that works a little bit later. Okay, so let's quickly have a look and see where's our snow area. Okay, so let's quickly just generate our snow area. Remember, this was where it snowed quite a bit. That's 700 and something. Let's go back to our satellite image. Let's undo this. You can see there's the water. Anyway, so there's inspector. So let's look at this area here. That was quite high snow. Okay, so that was that particular area there. So if I click on that one, it will say there's the snow cover 125. So that's not too much. Let's click on that part there. There's 66. This part here, 100. If I click there, 10, you can see there. Let's click there. 13. Let's click on this one here. 17, that one there, 23, this one there. Let's play around. We're just playing around to find out a location where it has snowed quite a bit. So let's take it again. So let's look at this area here. 37. Okay, 287. So let's have a look at this place here. So that's this place here. There, roughly about there. Oopsie. Why? Okay, so it's because it's not no cover. Okay, I'm way off. I was way off. I was here. Okay, so that place. Okay, so if we look at the elevation is 740 meters and the slope is 14. Let's have a look and see. Okay, look, we'll go to that one now. So let's place this area here. We know there's no snow here. So we know there's no snow here, 0, and the elevation is 92. You can see the slope is 1 degree. So that's not a lot. Now, if let's zoom a little bit in, you can see here, that seems like quite a steep area. Come on. And this also looks quite steep. So let's quickly click on that. You can see that this is the slope. You can see the slope. Areas where there's a high slope is in white or steep, and areas where it's flat, it's in dark. So let's quickly just have a look at it. I'm going to press on this area here. That's quite dark color. You can see the slope is 4. We click on this areas which is white, you'll see the slope is quite high. So the brighter white the location is, the higher the steep, the steeper the slope, and the darker, more black the region of interest or location is, the flatter the area. Okay, so but you can see the elevation there is 1000. If you look at this particular location, the elevation is 264 and it's fairly flat. This particular location there, you can see it's 1250. It's fairly steep and it's got snow cover. Let's have a look at this particular location here. You can see the snow cover there. Look at the height. Look at the slope. So already there starts to some picture starts to be generated from these statistics itself. So it's obviously the higher the slope. Okay, so the steeper the slope is, the more snow, and also the higher. So height and slope seemingly goes together. So the higher you go, the steeper, and that's to a large degree makes absolute sense. A low area typically will be quite flat, and therefore low slope in my region of interest. Okay, whereas mountains will be quite high, elevation will be high, but it will be also quite steep. So from this particular point, let's go to elevation. And you can see, well, it's going to open up. The elevation image doesn't look very good. So let's quickly go to elevation and change. Let's first of all change the visualization parameters. Let's play around with the visualization parameters. Okay, so let's go to visualization. I'm going to go to custom. Let's go to stretch and let's see what that looks like. This looks a little bit better. Let's stretch it with 2. Okay, that doesn't, yeah. Well, it looks, let's do 98 and see what that looks. But it basically looks all pretty much the same. So let's apply it. Okay, so there's our, close it. There's our elevation. There's our elevation image or layer. And you can see the brighter the colors, the higher, the greater the elevation. And let's quickly have a look again. You can see that. And then obviously you can see there's a low-lying area, and that is quite dark. So it's clearly here. The brighter the colors, the brighter, the more white it is, the higher the elevation, higher the location is above sea level, and the darker the colors are, the lower the closer it is to sea level. Okay, so that's quite obvious. So let's play around with the slope. That's our slope image. Let's see if we can improve slightly on that. Let's go to stretch that, see what happens here. Pretty much, it's not much of an improvement at all. It's not much an improvement at all, but we can play around with colors. So let's, yeah. So we can actually go to a color scheme, and we can do a color scheme from this as well, either using this nut here, or actually including a color scheme here, similar to what we have here. We can include a color scheme. You can see typically elevation will be from 0 to quite a lot, and slope will be quite low. So what we can do is we can say, okay, copy here, and let's use the same colors. We're just going to use, okay, so we're going to do a snow cover, and we're going to do an elevation color scheme, and elevation is from 0 to, let's call it 2000 meters. So that, and let's leave that color scheme for is as is, and then I'm going to create a color scheme for slope. So that would be, let's call it slope color scheme, and we're going to make it between Z and 80. So I'm going to use that color scheme there to generate my image here. So I'll delete that. So I put my elevation in there, and then color scheme, and I put my slope in here and paste it, and let's see what happens now. So we run it now. So now let's make it a bit bigger. Save. Remember to always save. Okay, see, there we come. So there is our elevation image. Okay. So there's our images, and they all have colors. Now let's see if we play around with the color schemes. Okay, so there's our elevation color scheme. You can see the, if I do it with my satellite, you can see, let's take that out, right? You can see the dark blue. These areas seems to be high elevation. We make it closer, and you can see these are lower. So darker, remember, black and going to white. Black is low numbers, meaning low levels, or, you know, and white is high level, so that would be high elevation or very high mountainous areas. So if we do that, that's elevation. Let's quickly go now to our visualization parameters, and let's quickly see if we can now stretch it, and we apply. Yeah, it's now we can play around with it. You can see now at least there's a bit of colors in, and we can play around with those color schemes. Let's do a 98 and see what that looks like. But they're all going to be very similar. They're not going to be very difficult. Now we can play around with the color schemes to make it a little bit more visually appealing and make it a bit more interesting. We can add different colors here, etc., etc. So we can play around with it. But the point is that we now have 3 layers, or 3 raster files, okay, which is snow cover, elevation, and slope. Okay, and what these images suggest by using the inspector is that at certain slopes and at certain heights there will be snow, or there's likely to be snow, and below that threshold, below a certain slope and below a certain height, there's the likelihood of there being snow is very little. And again, what we can do is we're going to do a lot more work on this, but this is how we start working on it, little by little bit. We add some stuff and see what happens. Now, it would be nice to look at temperatures, at which temperatures it typically snow, etc., etc. So that's what we're going to do in a later video. As I said, we start with our initial data product or our initial image, which is snow, and we're now expanding on that specific data set to include more and more information so that we create a more complete picture of what is actually happening or what's happening with snow. Okay, so here we've added elevation and we added slope. Okay, great stuff. Well, thank you for joining me. Much appreciated. We are in this together. We are learning and playing together. And this is the beauty of it, is having you on board makes it worthwhile and makes it thoroughly enjoyable. I appreciate it. And as I said, and please remember to like, subscribe, to share. We need to get those numbers up. People, please press the buttons left, right, and center. But as I say, it's the green button. Press it, and then I'll see you on the other side.